Welcome back to our tutorial series on using DOSBOX and Borland C++. Today we're going to write a very simple program in machine language and compile it with the TASM compiler. And that program's purpose will be to simply output a single character onto the screen. So we are going to start DOSBox and we're going to mount the C drive like this. So mount C colon / my DOS, which is what we called directory into which we put our DOS files. Now we're going to switch to the C drive and we're going to do a directory, and we're going to start by running the mybat.bat batch file in order to set the paths. And you see we have set the path to Borland C/bin so that the compiler can find what it's looking for. We also included C colon / directory so that when we're in the mycode directory, we can invoke edit and it will be able to find that executable. So we're going to switch to the mycode directory. And now we're going to open an editor and begin editing the assembly language file. So we're going to call that assembly language file a001.asm. And here we are in the editor. We first need to start by defining the memory model, and we're going to use the memory model small. So we are going to type the directive model small. Now we need to define the stack, and we're going to put in stack 100H. H means that we're using a hexadecimal there. We need to define a code segment, and we'll put our code in this code segment. And we need to define a starting procedure, and that procedure we're just going to call start. So we give it a label there, and then we give it the directive proc. Then down at the bottom here, we might as well end out the procedure as well. So we put start and end P for end procedure, and then just the word end, or you can write end start to end the whole program. Then we're going to go up here and put our real code into this. In order to write a character out onto the screen, we're going to have to use a DOS interrupt code, specifically DOS int 21H. You can find a list of all of these interrupt codes on the internet anywhere by Googling DOS interrupt codes or DOS int 21H. The code that we are specifically interested in is how to write a character out onto std.io, and we'll find the information for that right here. So here's what we have to do. This tells us very helpfully what we need to do. We need to put the value 02H into the high byte of the AX register, into AH. Then we need to put the character we want to write out onto the screen into the low part of the low byte of the DX register, into DL. And then we issue the interrupt 21H. So now that we've seen how to use the int 21 AH equaling 02H, let's put that into our code. So we'll start by moving the character we want to output onto the screen into DL. DL, of course, is just the lower byte of the DX register, which is a 2-byte 16-bit register, but we're only going to use the lower byte in this moment. So we're going to move DL, and we're going to move the character H into that. We could move the ASCII integer value for that character into DL, but in TASM we can also just put H in single quotes there. So that's what we're going to do, just to make it clearer what we're doing. And then we're going to move the directive itself into AH. And our directive here is 02H, which is the character to std out. And then we're going to implement that call with the directive int 21H. Now, in order to end a program running under DOS, we need to do that with another DOS directive. So let's take a look at that. In order to successfully and cleanly exit from our program back into DOS, we need to use an int21h code again. And let's go back to our list, and we see this helpful one here, 4C. So let's look at what that one requires of us. It requires that we put the hexadecimal number 4C into the high byte of the AX register, into AH, and then we'll issue the int21h, and that will exit us successfully back into DOS. So now let's end our DOS program by calling the 4ch directive. So we have to move 4ch into AH. And then we need to call int21h. And that should be all that we need to do to successfully end our program. So we're going to save this and exit it. Now we're going to compile our program using TASM. So the command there is just TASM A001.asm. And we see that we got no error messages and no warnings. So now we need to link the program. So that command is tlink A001. And we got no errors there either. So now when we look at our directory, we see that we have an A001 executable file. Let's try running that. And we see that it successfully printed the letter H onto the screen and that the program successfully exited. I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial, and we will continue to write more complex and more exciting programs as we go forward. Thank you, and God bless you.